Hey, Caleb. Let's go. Shop on.
Okay.
Huh, wonder where he's at. Caleb? Kind of weird.
Oh, hey man. Yeah, I was just in here test fitting my fuel tank, you know, underneath my hood. But I guess, yeah, we can start recording here. Oh gosh. So guys, here we are. Today we are putting a fuel tank in the mid-engine Eclipse and doing the entire fuel system. As you see, we've got a lot of stuff from Dishworks. Huge thank you to Dishworks for sending out all the stuff for the mid-engine Eclipse. If you guys need any fuel system parts, you'll see they've got a bunch of really cool products. I'll have a link in the description and in the cards to Dishworks. But yeah, I mean, we've got our fuel cell here that we're gonna mount in the front. We've got a bunch of fuel line from Dishworks. We've got their spin-on filter kit. Looks like an oil filter, but it's actually a fuel filter. So that's pretty rad. Makes it easy to change fuel filters. Fuel pressure regulator, brushless fuel pump. This tiny thing is a 400 liter per hour fuel pump. And then like a bunch of AN fittings and all sorts of really cool stuff. We'll go into more details on each thing once we're actually installing it. But for now, it's just time to get to work. So what I was doing in here before I was so rudely interrupted was test fitting the fuel tank. This is a 15-gallon fuel cell. I just bought it off Amazon. We were gonna make a custom fuel tank to perfectly fit the car, but aluminum's really expensive, and this thing fits pretty dang perfect anyway. As you can tell, it's about the width. It's about the width of the engine bay. I mean, it fits perfectly in between the frame rails. And it's also like the perfect height with the frame rails. So when we go to build out our frunk, we can build a plate that kind of goes all over that. So it kind of worked out perfectly. Now, one of the first things we're gonna do is mount this, but as you saw, all this bull crap's in the way. So the first thing we're gonna do is get rid of all the wiring, because we're gonna have to move it all to the back, obviously. My original plan was to just extend the engine harness, keep it here, extend it to the back. Then I was like, you know what? Might as well just remove it all and move it to the back. But now that I'm here looking at it again, I'm realizing there's so much chassis wiring integrated into this harness, like the fuse box with all the lights. Just moving it all to the back is gonna be a huge pain. So I think I am just gonna end up chopping this, making an extension harness, because that's just gonna be so much easier. Then we can keep the ECU in the factory location. All the, you know, the other factory wiring up here can stay as is. We'll make it look nice, clean it up a bit. But point is, I'm just gonna kind of stuff this down this hole to get it out of the way for our current job. Beautiful. So although we're not gonna do anything with the wiring, I am gonna go ahead and remove the shifter linkage. Mounting system. to cut some aluminum with a plasma cutter for the first time. It's pretty much, should be the same thing, but it's just, you know, it's a new experience. Like I said, aluminum's really expensive, so this is a sheet of aluminum. Ooh. Looks so shiny on there. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it more or less worked. I got the tabs welded to the fuel cell. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I've been struggling with welding aluminum. I don't know if I'm using the wrong tungsten, I don't know if my gas is bad, but I feel like I could weld aluminum pretty good back in Chicago, but you know, something about Georgia is not doing aluminum for me. I mean, like, it's horrendous. Hey, no, don't show it. It's just frustrating because I used to really enjoy welding aluminum. I don't know what's going on, but it's welded, so that's the important part. Ugliest welds on the car are right here, but that's all right. Well, the gas station,
Okay.
gas tank. It's been a long week, guys. Gas tank is in. As you can tell, there's a little bit of play, so I'm gonna make another mount off of the factory motor mount location up there. Hey.
Oh, shit. Okay.
All right, ladies and gents, the fuel tank is in there. As you can see, it still has a little bit of play because it's just mounted in the middle here, so I already said all this, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So let's make that other mount. did that work so well? I think I figured out what issue I was having. I just don't think I had the gas flowing high enough. Pretty new mistake. It's welding much better. It still doesn't look great because I'm using tiny filler rods, like I have to like shove it in there. But it's not like, it's cooperating at least. So yeah, I guess I just didn't have the gas flow high enough. So our gas tank has all the tabs welded on it to be mounted for permanently. Before we do that, we have to add our fuel pump and do all that kind of stuff. Now you can see that this gas tank comes with some fittings for like an inline pump, you know, for all the stuff. It even actually has a level gauge in here, and it also has a fill cap, which is pretty cool. We're gonna use the fill cap. We're not gonna use anything else. Dishworks just released this really cool new product, which is a universal fuel hanger setup. So it's pretty much this and this. You can mount this in any gas tank as long as there's a flat spot that's, you know, within this flatness. We just have to drill a hole in here and then put all these pieces in, and then we can put an in-tank fuel pump in this thing, which is gonna be so much quieter, so much nicer than an inline fuel pump. Oh God, oh no. Why do any manufacturers make Phillip head bolts holding in the fuel pump hanger? That's just destined to rust out and be impossible to remove. Since this one either isn't working or, you know, it's not gonna read the right ohms, we're just gonna go ahead and mount the factory one in this fuel tank over here on the side. So we have our like universal fuel pump hanger from Dishworks all set up. I'm using a 440 brushless fuel pump from them. That's why it's got 4 wires, because it's a brushless fuel pump. And now, put the main O-ring on, lube it up a bit. Now, to lock it down, it's got this plate. Before just throwing this in here, we're going, oh, what the hell is this? All right, so we're going to fill this with water and make sure it holds pressure. Oh, really fucking heavy.
Oh no.
Well, now we gotta get all the water out of it. So this thing's got a built-in vent that's, no liquid can come out of it, but it lets air in. It's really nice. This thing was a steal for 200 bucks. So our gas tank is officially in with our DishWorks fuel pump and all that kind of stuff. We did put a grommet, rubber grommet on that and on the bottom, so it is isolated with rubber, so it shouldn't crack or it shouldn't be loud, you know. Now, it's time to get fuel to the engine. So the main things we have to mount are the fuel filter and the fuel pressure regulator. And then we just have to make some AN lines to connect everything. I've got a really good idea to utilize the plasma cutter to make cool tabs for the AN lines, but we'll get to that later. First, let's go ahead and mount these two bad boys. This, I'm gonna mount somewhere on the underneath of the car that's easily to access. This has to be visible from the back so you can see your fuel pressure. I think I can actually, with the right fittings, I can get this fuel pressure regulator just to go on the end of the fuel rail, which would be really sweet, because then I don't have to build a mounting system for it, and then it's one less fuel line we have to make. Now we can go ahead, make fuel lines that lead from the tank to the filter, filter to the fuel rail, or what will be this, all the way back to the tank. So right there I was designing a tab to hold hoses and brake lines to the frame rail. Because previously, you know, I used hose clamps or just zip tied, you know, the hose to whatever random thing I could find. This time I made this nice thing that will hold the fuel feed, the fuel return, and the brake line that will eventually be routed to the back. And then I'll make new ones for like the dash 20 and the dash 16 lines for the radiator and stuff. I think the only thing I'm gonna change is I'm gonna add maybe 2 holes to use some self-tappers instead of welding it. So I'll do that and then we can start doing the lines. If you can see, DishWorks came out with new like matte black hose fittings, which are super sick. So guys, the fuel system in the mid-engine Eclipse is done. So this is where the fuel filter ended up working out. And that's so awesome. What I'm really pumped about is the extra effort I put into actually tying up all this stuff. As you see, there's a brake line here, because we did make brake lines. That will be in an upcoming video. But the fuel lines are just perfectly routed along the frame rail, and then they go up to the fuel tank. It's just so cleanly done. I'm so pumped about how it came out. We're gonna do a similar thing on this side, except with the main water lines, which are -16. I mean, those things are massive. And we'll be doing that in the next video. And then of course, we got our beautiful fuel rail of our D-Works fuel injectors. We got the feed line coming off the filter, and then our regulator with the gauge like being right there is awesome, because you're gonna be able to see it and easily adjust it through the back here. And then of course, we got our front mounted fuel tank. We got our D-Works fuel pump, fuel hanger, our fuel lines. I posted a teaser on this, and I've seen a lot of comments saying how dangerous this is, but you guys have to realize this thing is a good 2 feet behind all the factory crash support. If someone gets in a big enough crash to collapse the front end that far and then pierce the tank, there's gonna be bigger issues than fuel leaking. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, a huge thank you to D-Works for providing all this stuff for this fuel system. In the next video, we're gonna go ahead and get the cooling system done and tidy up a couple little small things. We're bringing this thing to David's drift event. Even though it's not gonna drive, we're gonna trailer it there. I tried hard to make it drive there, but we're just a little bit behind. If you guys want to see the next video ahead of schedule, you can click up there, become a patron, and you'll get early access to videos as well as a bunch of other exclusive stuff. But for now, guys, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.